When you study deeply all the different mythological stories that are out there from different cultures that are available to you through historical records or religious tales, mythological stories, all this stuff, um, you start to see commonalities between all the cultures. And when it comes to sacred symbols in particularly, it doesn't really seem to matter what culture it comes from anymore. Always comes back to the same thing to me. I look at it and I see scale invariant harmony, and I see the imperial system, and I see that geometry was at the core, and perhaps it was the first language. I think like how some of the animals communicate, like dolphins, for example, when they send out those sonic vibrations through the water. If you can aim a camera directly on the front of that, as that ripples through the water, you'll notice a somatic impression in there, and there'll be different geometric shapes. Fundamentally, sound is, geometric wave phenomenon, and so it has to be at the core our first language. And language today is shapes and sounds, so I mean it's still there, it's still relevant. And when you first get into studying all the different stories and the world religions, it's just confusing, but after a while you start to notice that all of these sacred symbols, or these monograms, or whatever you want to call it, they're all trying to teach the same thing. And it all has to do with what I've talked about in my videos. All the sacred geometry, all the different symbols. It comes down to climbing the cosmic ladder, to that, that triangulation in the eye, and knowing yourself, time especially. I think that's my most, next to music, I think time is the most fascinating subject in the world to me. I spend a lot of time thinking about time and how slippery, and it's all about perception, and how strange it all is. But every time I see any sacred symbol from just about any religious background from anywhere on the globe, especially if it's old, I see scale invariant harmony, I see sacred geometry. Whether it's the crescent moon and a pentagram, or it's a cross with a circle behind it, or a Celtic cross, or it's the yin-yang symbol, or the eight-spoked wheel of Buddhism. It all speaks the same thing to me. So you can call me a pantheist if you want, or whatever, but the math doesn't lie. It's mathematics of the sun and man. Even the ancient tales of, the Kundalini energy and the serpent energy and all this stuff, I think that you can correlate that with today's knowledge of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system that travels up and down the spine into these 12 sacred receptors around the eye of Horus, pineal gland. There is something about, balancing and harmonizing your body to reach its full potential, and that's what scale invariant harmony is. Trying to walk that middle path, as the enlightened Buddhists would say. Finding the balance between two measures and measuring everything in existence that way. Recognize yourself as a fractal piece of the whole, which is a beautiful thing. But all of those symbols say the same thing to me. They don't scream out Illuminati. They don't scream out, occult. They scream at things that I started learning as a child, and I've had the opportunity to grow up and learn without being a part of any society or secret society or any cult. I just took all the stories and figured it out based on what we know. And I think it's really beautiful. And maybe someday we can all have that same vision, where we find the beauty and the harmony in everything, and we can change the world. We can do what our ancestors were trying to do: build a reverent, harmonious, magnificent place for people to be free, people to have, basic human rights, and to mirror image the cosmos and the microcosm, to pay homage, to respect, to have reverence, to vibrate, to synchronize, whatever you want to call it, with the universe and the cosmos. I think science today has gotten a little bit away from that. They're so worried about the physical that I think sometimes they've forgotten about the, I guess you call it spiritual side, or maybe it's just a right and left brain thing. But definitely when you strip theology out of the fundamental words you use as a mathematician, you don't realize what you're doing. You're playing with ancient words of theology. Remember, time and space and all that stuff was relative to religion, because being pious is being timely, showing up every Sunday for church, or Saturday or Friday or whatever day you would show, exoneration. But we live in a world of magic. All this ancient stuff that people are looking up and getting into. If you're into the New Age stuff, it's all around us today. Whether it's crystals or, look at the way the ancient cities were built out with the pyramids, and then look at a microchip. It's really weird. And then think about the fact how the ancients used crystals and believe they stored energy and they gave off energy. And then think about how these little tiny crystals are used in our time machines, our clocks, and our computers, Pentium processors, and all this stuff. It's incredible. We live in a world of magic. The ancient magic is alive in a world alive today, and we live in a world of math magic. It's amazing. It's amazing. Really strange. I'm really just rambling, or babbling, I should say, because that's what my videos are about, babbling. I don't claim to be wise, though. But, I don't know. We should all get along. It's all one world. Science is trying to climb the cosmic ladder. When you study the fundamental geometries of religions, you'll see at the core of that it's climbing the cosmic ladder. And it's triangulation. That eye in the pyramid, when I was studying all this stuff, I had some of the most craziest, beautiful, amazing dreams that one could take away as some kind of spiritual discernment that helped me synchronize things, and maybe there is something to it. You know what I mean? Knowledge is a trippy thing, though, because it seems like part of the population in the world, there's like two types of people, humans. People that think knowledge is forbidden, it's evil, and people that think knowledge will save us. The classic example is Dr. or Professor Seaman, who was probably might have talked about this before, but he was a archaeologist / electrical engineer. Some of our electrical terminology is based on his name, but this is way back in the late 1800s. He went to the top of the Great Pyramid, and I guess every time one of the natives would stretch his hands out, put it up into the air, sparks were shooting off between his fingers. So he got a wine bottle and wrapped it with paper and fashioned it somehow so that when he lifted it in the air, it started shooting off sparks. And then I think he got somebody tried to touch him and it knocked him backwards. And after this thing was shooting off sparks, and they started cursing and thinking he was the devil, throwing rocks at him and stuff. So parts of religion say that knowledge is evil, but at the same time you could find in fundamental religion that there's evidence of attempting to climb the cosmic ladder, and science is doing the same thing. It's such a trip to me. You know, it says something in the Bible like, lo, behold, man has found the fruit of knowledge, lest he find the fruit of life and live to eternity like us, we shall banish him from the garden. That's always been a trippy thing to me. Like, hey, he found the knowledge. Is it bad? Is it good? You know, it depends on what we do with it. But we don't want him living forever, so we're going to kick him out of this little Eden we had going on here and let him fend on his own. I always thought that was a trippy story. But anyways, if you read the Gnostic Gospels, that whole story gets switched around. It's really strange. But, all right, my video is too long and I'm babbling. Have a great night, people. One love.